Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader, with a quick update on Bitcoin. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Here we got the 4-hour Coinbase chart, and same old, filling out that wedge. Basically, we've tested the top a couple times, tested the bottom a few times. It's very clear this is the pattern that's developed. I know quite a few people were calling this a channel, or trying to call out different patterns, and we said it the whole entire time. It's very clear what pattern this is and what's been taking place here. It looks very clearly like distribution to me, based on the divergence and everything. It's a powerful, methodical move up after a strong sell-off, which, I mean, typically, if it's like very organized, there's a reason they call it like a wave and impulse. It's usually just like sudden and powerful, as where like a stairway up or like a methodical like step up is typically like distribution. It's like programs or like bots, essentially, just like slowly creeping the price up higher, like using math to essentially like sell more but move the price up higher. So it's very strange, but if you've ever watched like the order books before or something like that, on like shorter time frames, you could like say watch order books and say like the price of Bitcoin is at like 6,000, and then you could see like one Bitcoin gets sold and the price would move up to like 6,100, and then you could see like half a Bitcoin gets bought, and then you say half a Bitcoin gets sold and the price will move back down to like 6,000. So it took one Bitcoin in buying to move the price up, but it took half a Bitcoin in selling to move the price down the same amount. So like you'll see that happen. So eventually what ends up happening is, and it's because there's like lack of liquidity in the books, or there's like spaces in between like the orders, but what ends up happening is you'll see, say, like $1 million in volume, in sell volume, but only like $500,000 in buy volume, but the price will remain the same. So there's distribution taking place. There's more selling taking place than there's buying, and yet the price action is not reflecting it. And that's what we're looking for when we look for like divergences and things like on-chain volume and some of the like different indicators that we use. This like more on like the technical side, but not direct to like your typical like indicator oscillators that you use, especially the ones that take into account like volume and everything, because they tend to give you like a third dimension to like an otherwise like two-dimensional indicator. So. But anyway, so we're just filling out this this pattern here. Essentially, we tested down to the bottom a couple times, depending on what exchange you're looking at or how you're drawing it exactly. Like, there's a lot of different potential places you could put like the bottom line here. But essentially, we've been touching on this bottom here. We're at the very bottom of the range right now, and it's so tight now that a break is basically bound to happen at this point in time, unless we just kind of like float out of the pattern. In which case, I would expect it at that point in time to develop into something like a channel or some sort of larger like triangle pattern, etc. But at this point in time, nothing has changed. We've essentially just been finding support on this line here. We have our first drive, retracement, second drive or wave 3, retracement, and then now we're going to get our third drive basically, or fifth wave. The question is, though, is how high is it going to go? I mean, we're going to retrace at some point in time in the near future. The real question is, are we going to retrace from where we're at right now, and was this like the stab up, like fake out liquidity, and we're just running out and we're just going to start like basically like selling off here? Or are we now going to get like that next stab up to a higher high, really like stop out a lot of these trades, because there's just going to be like a ton of stop losses up above here, and then we can get like a powerful sell down, or maybe I'm completely wrong and we just like burst to the upside. I mean, I do want to take a quick second and address the situation that this channel is growing at like an exponential rate. I mean, we gained like more subscribers in the last month than in the like 5 months prior to that. So I do want to welcome all the new subscribers and everything. And this is primarily like technical analysis channel on cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, but I do a lot of other assets as well. And then occasionally we'll get into like technicals or fundamentals on something different, like I did like the COVID thing, or I might talk about like mining, miner capitulation, etc. you know, scammers, whatever, like once a week or something like that. So, but I'm just trying to mix the content up a little bit and see where people are interested at. I do want to welcome all the new people, everybody that's watching but not subscribing. I urge you obviously to support the channel. I don't ask anything from you guys, but I do provide a lot of valuable information and analysis. So if you don't mind doing that for me, that's greatly appreciated. But back to the technicals here, you know, essentially what I'm expecting to happen is, you know, this just to play out exactly like we said. I mean, we're at key fib levels. You know, if we could come up to the 618 right here and tag it perfectly, I mean, that would be absolutely beautiful at 7,200. And then I think we could get like massive confluence and a great sell-off here. We wouldn't even have to break out of the triangle. It would be like that push up looking like we're going to break, and then, you know, essentially like stab it back down. So, and then looking at like the oscillator indicators here, we are selling back off on the 4 hour. We did cross back underneath on the TJD, TD, MACD. So like the red is underneath. If we stay underneath long enough, we're going to get this to roll back over, and then we'll see the red slope. So we are definitely coming to like an end in this move. And you'll see also that we did develop divergence clearly on the TJD, TD, MACD, as well as the Jewel Thief as well. You'll see the knife came way up over the top and then barely came up here. You'll see like the blue and the purple came up here, and then the blue and purple didn't even come up as high on this one. But again, we could still get a powerful move up, and you know, essentially like a rejection. So the blue would come back up like it was going to cross above the purple, and then it would just get like, trying to see where there is one. I don't see. Okay, here you go. Like something like this where it comes up, looks like it's going to cross, and then boom, just gets rejected and slammed back down. So, and that happens, you know, fairly often as well. And then this is obviously like a very common sign on the TD MACD. We'll get like 2 green histograms right here, and then we'll get rejected by the moving average, by the blue, and they'll flip over red, and we'll get like that violent sell-off. So, and that is still what I'm expecting to happen. I mean, if we zoom out to the big picture, guys, like, you know, oh, and before I zoom out to the big picture, the TJD prophecy is the parabolic SAR with binary pivots. If you're looking for this on there, I haven't updated it. And then the Jewel Thief is the one I always use, and the TJD, TD, MACD. But there's a bunch of other indicators on there you can use too. It's like a dozen of them, and you know, you can use whatever's best for you. And if you're not real familiar with TradingView and everything, you can go up to where like the indicator's like name is, put your thing over top of it, and then if you just go over to the second one and hit settings, it will pop up all the settings right here, and you can change like your EMAs, you can change your resistance, and if you like mess something up, you can hit cancel. And if you want to go back to like the stock default, you can too. But if you like start changing them around and messing with it, and you like the settings, or you're finding like they're more useful, or you prefer different colors, like you can change all that and then save it to your own personal. So you can alter those if you're not familiar with it. But here, zooming out on the daily, I mean, we're still in that massive downtrend we've been in forever. Everybody was super bullish multiple times throughout this situation, and multiple times got wrecked. I mean, you know, when I say got wrecked, I don't mean necessarily like account-wise got wrecked. I mean like technicals got wrecked. Like if you were up here saying like we're bullish going to the moon, I mean technically you got wrecked. Like even if you didn't lose any money, even if you made money, like technically you got wrecked. You know, because you said we're going to the moon, and we went, you know, underground instead. So, but anyway, oh, I also did want to remind everybody, like, you know, I do hate a lot on crypto and talk a lot of trash and everything, but I am a mad supporter of crypto and believe in like the actual like fundamentals and technicals of it long term. You know, it's just, but we are in like a multi-year bear market, or, you know, retracement or downtrend, whatever you want to call it. So, you know, I am a realist, and you know, I trade with the trend and technicals, not with my emotions in my heart. So. But here we have it. We're essentially got that pop back up. We hit the short-term moving average, you know, popped up, hit the 21, rejected down below, and then popped back up. And then I would suspect here what's going to happen is we'll get rejected again, sell back off. But if we don't, if we pop off right here, get support off of it, and then pop up, I would expect us to come all the way up to the 50. I would expect us to come all the way up to the 50 and the 528. That's going to put us at 7,600. I mean, that 76.65 range, that's a strong resistance. You know, obviously, like, we found resistance on a bunch of times into that, like, head and shoulders area right here, like, in it. But, I mean, it's not unrealistic to think that we could burst through this. But it's also not unrealistic to think that the MACD is just going to, TJD, TD MACD is just going to come up here, and we're just going to red histo and roll over and powerful down. Same thing with the Jewel Thief. I would expect at some point in time in the near future to see the knife stick out the top. I would expect there to be like a powerful move up, and we'll get like that green stab of the knife right here. And then when the knife comes up, then we could see the rollover sell-off. Because usually what that knife is telling you is there's like a bunch of volume coming in, a bunch of price action coming in, like an attempt to break it out, or like that. You'll hear people refer to like a thrust or the shortening of the thrust or something like that, and that's what the purpose of the knife is. The knife is to like show you the thrust. So you see we get this massive thrust down here, okay, and that's a massive thrust. It means like the trend's coming to an end. Like you're not going to get another powerful thrust like that. So when it comes down like that, it doesn't mean like that's the bottom, but it means like start looking for a bottom. And then you see obviously like it triggers the green accumulation zone at the absolute bottom, and then you can go back up. But then you'll see we get another sell-off, and what happens the second time? The knife comes down, but not as much, and that's what we call a shortening of the thrust. Okay, so we got a deeper close right here on the 4-hour time frame, but the knife comes down less, so it's like the shortening of the thrust. It's less downward price action energy, you know what I mean, but it's getting lower price, and that's like that divergence. And then you'll see, you know, it'll continually happen like on the upside and the downside. So essentially now we get the thrust up right here, and the knife comes up, and again, it's not saying that's the absolute top, but it's saying like, okay, like, you know, that was a strong move coming in, like start looking for it. And obviously we're already in the distribution zone, and then we get the hard sell signal coming out of it, obviously, when the purple and blue cross. But the idea is essentially when we see the next knife come up here, it comes up and it's less powerful, but the price goes higher. And that's, again, like that's that divergence. If we would have seen the knife come up higher right here, or the same height, and then these were equal, it's like, oh yeah, that's fine. That's very typical of the market. You know what I mean? It's taking the same amount of energy, the same amount of buying or selling energy to move the price the same amount. But when you start seeing that divergence, that's where we're getting to when you're seeing like 100 Bitcoin sold and 50 Bitcoin bought, but the price is staying the same. That's a divergence between like what's taking place in like the order books and the buys sells to like what's taking place on the charts. And that can happen like easily. If all of a sudden everybody got like super bullish and said Bitcoin's going to go to the moon, and all the sell orders just got pulled from all the books on all the exchanges, like the next buy that comes in is just going to like shoot the price up, because there'd just be a massive gap in like the sell orders. So like whoever like market executes, if the next sell order is at $100,000 and there's nothing in the books from, you know, from 7,000 to 100,000, like somebody hits market buy, that's when you get that gigantic wick all the way up there, and then all of a sudden like the arbitrage bots kick in and just start dumping the price back down, and then you find like that relative like center. So but anyway, I wasn't even get into like all the like extra stuff in this video. I just want to mention a couple of things, but you know, nothing has really changed here. I'm sticking with my same technicals, and to tell you the truth, when I look at the alts, they actually look like more bearish. You know, Bitcoin is still like relatively strong here and looks like it could go either way, but the alts are already starting to roll over. Now that doesn't mean that Bitcoin can't just like push up and then the alts follow it right here, but typically when that happens, it's like distribution, and we're at like the end of like that like micro market cycle. So well, there you have it, guys. Crypto Trend Trader. Thank you all for the support lately. I appreciate all the comments and the people that take the time to interact, as it really does help to grow the channel. And also all the people that take the time to not only watch my videos, but to like specifically search for them and not just like go through notifications. I notice a huge amount of like extra visibility and new subscribers since you guys did that for me. So for those of you that have already done that, I really appreciate it. And for those of you that like haven't done that or don't know what I'm talking about, I want you to just go into YouTube after you watch this video and just search, like, not my name, but just search Bitcoin and see if I pop up under recent. Search like cryptocurrency, like all, just go right down the title until it pops up and see, because I think you'll find that you have to search a bunch of stuff before I pop up. And I suspect that many of you have like, you know, benefited from finding this channel. So like if you help and you know, if you would have found it sooner, obviously it would have benefited you more. So you know, I appreciate it if you get it out there and you know, help to spread the word and grow the community. So well, there you have it, guys. I'm Crypto Trend Trader. It's our daily Bitcoin and cryptocurrency technical analysis. I may be back for an evening video as well. I'm out of here.